They, uh, they take me. I've decided to start telling a little bit about my experience of alien abductions. I hope people enjoy this. This is kind of just a story about what's been happening to me, mostly over the last year, but it's been something that's been ongoing since I was 8. Obviously my voice is distorted, it makes me sound completely ridiculous, but I want to remain anonymous for a lot of reasons, as much as I possibly can. So I've decided to start talking some, because I have a story to tell. I'm a completely normal looking person. If you were to run into me, you'd have no idea that this is something going on in my life.
There's a stigma I fight, though, and everybody fights who deals with this. And many times that stigma keeps people from understanding this is happening to them. I think people would be shocked if they truly understood how many people are taken. I would have to guess 30% are taken at one point or another in their lives. Yeah, 30%. I'm sure of this. This stigma, which is there by no accident at all, makes everybody believe that it's only toothless rednecks, and I hate to stereotype any group. Hell, many of my best friends have been toothless rednecks. I'm not one, and if you look into the people who have been abducted, they're typically extremely intelligent, they're self-conscious, and they're usually very successful unless they figure out what's going on. I fit into that entirely. That's me. I figured out what's going on, though.
I've been an abductee since I was 8 years old. I don't recall my first abduction necessarily. I do remember as a kid at the age 8 looking out, and I remember telling the kids at school the next day I saw a UFO a couple houses down looking out my window. I was on the second story growing up. But the more I look back on it now, I vividly remember this UFO. Something people need to understand about abductions is memories are erased through some mechanism that they have.
As an adult now, I understand that what happens for children when they're up there is essentially they play with other hybrid children. Children that are mixed, half human and half alien. So I assume that's what happened with me when I was a kid while I was up there. As a kid, I always knew there was something different about me, I guess. Something special, I thought. I always had the sense that at some point in my life that it would be my duty to save the world. I've just always had that sense. As an adult, I've realized that this saving the world deal, thank God, I'm only one of a very large group of people who has a mission here to help people out. I've known since I was a young child that was my job here. I've known I have a mission here. I've always felt I'd die young. And I'm still young, about 30. That's who I am. And something I've learned from this is I can't change that. I vividly remember one interaction with them as a kid. I remembered praying and thinking I was talking to God. And it's now my personal belief that we talk to the angels telepathically, and that's what prayer is. But I remember I had posters on my wall, and they were taped at the very top. And I said, well, God, if you're here, raise one of those posters when I get to 3. And I counted to 1, 2, 3, and up it went. And it scared me. It scared the hell out of me. But I asked it to do it again, and it did the same thing. It's so subtle when you're taken, and that's what a lot of people I think don't understand, and that's something I want to let people know about. Because as a child, I could have been taken as often as I am now, which is multiple times a week, and never noticed it. Their ability to erase your memory is complete. They leave almost no traces other than when they want to, when they want you to find out that you're going with them. But that's after a long time after they trust you to know. So I knew as a kid something was going on, but did I suspect alien abduction? I guess maybe. I don't know. I guess I thought about that. More than anything, I just always felt I was different. Through my teenage years, too. Never quite felt like I belonged here. My guess is when I was up there as a kid playing with the hybrid kids and with other human kids, I was probably very comfortable there. But I don't remember. I just know as an adult, that's what kids typically do up there. That's what they always do up there. So I can assume that was the case. I had plenty of friends here on Earth as a kid. I had a weird way of picking them. I always looked for the kids that didn't have any other friends. And I felt really sorry for them. And then I just went and was their friend. I knew they needed one. I still do the same thing. Those are the only people I wanted to be friends with, were the people that had no other friends. Those are the most interesting people you meet. Now this memory erasing that they do, it begs some really obvious questions. First one is why? Why do they erase the memories? Because they do. Thoroughly. If you really search and ask, they'll give you a little bit here and there. But a lot of people seem to think we mean nothing to them. If we mean nothing, why do they take the effort to bring us back? Why do they return us? Why do they stay with us our entire life? Why is it that I and every other abductee, the people who have actually experienced this and recalled they experienced this, which is important, why do we feel like they help us? Because I do. I know they help me. Do I understand it? Hell no. Hell no. Not at all. What I can understand is our species can barely get to our goddamn moon. Whether we ever did or not, well, I don't know. I have my doubts. I'd like to know what Stanley Kubrick was doing the entire time he claimed to be filming 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'd really like to know. But we can barely get to our own moon. Where do they come from? We can't even comprehend that. This to me points clearly to them being a higher being than we are. We just don't like to admit that. I'll bet cattle are pissed when they get led to the slaughter. Let's hope we don't have the same fate, and I don't think we do. I'll be as pissed as the next cow. It is what it is, though, so none of us should be afraid to die. I can absolutely tell anyone who's missing someone that they love that has died that they are not gone. Hello, everybody. This is the Alien Photog, and this is part 2 of the documentary. Okay, I've decided that it's ridiculously pompous of me to act like I need to make an entire documentary every time I've got 10 minutes of something to say on this. Because the truth is, I've got a lot of stuff to say and a lot of people asking questions, and I want to get this information out there as quick as possible, and putting videos together for all of them is totally overwhelming. So what I'm showing you is just video that I've shot of what I believe to be UFOs. There's plenty of people that think they're airplanes, all sort of other explanations. Check it out, whatever you think. But what I'm going to do in this one is just talk a little bit about some of the questions people had. But before I start, I just want to ask anybody who's at all interested in these things, would you please subscribe, because I get a lot of the same questions over and over, and I want to get answers to people. But what people want to know, I think, why are they here? It's a sort of backwards question. Because, guys, they've been here for a long time. The difference is, in today's society, it's covered up. And I believe the reason it's covered up, and I can't say I blame them if I was in their shoes, but the guys who run things here on Earth know damn well that if we all figure out that there's beings higher power than humans with certainty, sure, they promote religion and Christianity because it's all so vague, and it's all, hey, he'll come back someday. They don't like people to know that these beings are out there currently. I point to 2 pieces of evidence that cannot be explained away reasonably. Now, anybody can make shit up, but I point to the pyramids and to Stonehenge. It's sad to me that people look at that and say, well, what proof is that? The big pyramid. This thing is 400 and some odd feet high. I don't know. Google the pyramids of Egypt right now while you're listening to this in another window, and look at pictures of these things. See if you can find one compared to the skyline. I put it up, but I don't want to infringe copyrights. The going theory is that they used ramps to get these huge busload-sized freaking rocks up this skyscraper, essentially. Can you imagine the miles of ramps that would take by the time you go all the way around the base? And how do you get the top piece on? Like everybody lift on three from their collective ramp around the four sides of the top of the pyramid? There is no way. There's no way. What happened here, clearly, and this is proof that they exist and have been here for a long time, is some sort of technology that we do not yet understand made them. That's the only real explanation for them. Okay, they also, for more evidence, they have chutes inside them that are astronomically aligned, all within the accuracy of a quarter of an inch. It's exactly precise and astronomically aligned, and it is also in the exact center of the Earth's landmass. Okay, this is technology from other places. Hey, guess what, everybody? I just disclosed. I just proved it to you. Everybody's talking about disclosure. It freaking cracks me up. You know, why do we need somebody to tell us common sense shit is real? I love that. They're going to disclose. Screw them. They've been lying to us forever, man. All I know is if they tell us something disclosure-wise, don't believe it, because it'll be another lie. I mean, I've got to say that their record up to date has been lying every freaking single time about it and pleading ignorance, so I'm just going to believe them and act like they don't know anything. Okay, we can figure this out with common sense. And now let's look at Stonehenge, too. Pull up pictures of that. Look at that puppy. And what's interesting is what Stonehenge is, I believe. So this is what we're going to go into a little bit, and we're going to go into ancient civilizations. And this is really interesting because in our view as humans, this is a long period of time. In reality, it's not. We have a hard time seeing the big picture as humans. And it's very common for other alien species, as we call them, they look thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years into the future. They have the wisdom to do that because they realize something we don't. They've learned something we don't, is that nothing happens slowly. Absolutely nothing actually happens slowly. We've all been led to believe that it does, so we don't see the big picture. But the truth is, nothing happens overnight. But what Stonehenge is essentially a new calendar for a 365-day year. And so this is where I want to start with ancient history. At one point, this Earth had 360 days in the year, and now it's 365.2425. People just glaze over that. Like, that's a big damn deal. What happened? I would venture to say there was a major event there. But it seemed to happen about 5,000 years ago, which is the exact time that the Mayans, who of course predict 2012, said that the period of time started. Okay? And that is also the time that Stonehenge popped up. And what Stonehenge appears to be is a calendar 365-day year that they gave us. Why? Because there's little slits cut in it, as I'm sure everybody knows, that line up perfectly to the sun on the equinoxes. That's a technology beyond this Earth. And Stonehenge, they want to claim that, the natives drug stones from 25 miles away. It's the most unreasonable thing I've ever heard. Hey, guess what? We just disclosed again. More obvious shit that proves they exist. So an important thing for us to try to pin down is what happened. Why did we go from 360 days to 365 days? What made that happen? If nothing else, it had to be a big deal. It slowed our entire planet's orbit. Well, we can go back to the Egyptian culture, and they're the only ones that speak of it that in great detail. And what they claim is that their god named Thoth, which is another interesting thing about him. Look him up. It's Thoth is the best way to Google it. In reality, it's spelled with a Greek symbol in the middle instead of an O that kind of looks like an O with a slash through it that represents the letter TH. So his name is really TH, and it's the root word of thought, which is very interesting because thought is literally the only thing that makes us alive, as many philosophers have come to after many years of contemplating. So Thoth apparently decided to gamble with the moon for 1/72nd of its light. Now the reason why Thoth did this, and it's interesting, they called it a gamble. They said it was like a game of chance, like chess or something, that Thoth knew he would win, and he did. But the reason he did it is it said the gods, he said they couldn't breed here on Earth with the 360 days, and they needed to. Okay, so which begs some questions next time you go look around on the streets. And people who don't think that alien DNA is intertwined with ours, it's crazy. Alien abductees have been saying, like myself, for years, junk DNA is bullshit. Excuse my language, by the way. If you're offended by cussing, you're going to have to get over it because I do it sometimes. But it's bullshit. Junk DNA. DNA composes what you are, every single little tiny bit of what you are. You are literally your parents, and their parents, and their parents, and their parents. That's you. Literally, look at your skin. It's them. It is a piece of them that composes you, and that's all that composes you. But Thoth gambled with the moon so they could interject their DNA on Earth. Very interesting, that's 1/72nd. Okay, the number 72 is incredibly important. So anyway, apparently this gamble with the moon, this game he played, somehow gave the Earth an extra day for every 72 days it had before, and that's 5 extra days a year, plus a little. That's what the Egyptians said. But that number 72, first off, it's 1/5 of 360. But if we double it, we get to another interesting number, 144. There's 1,440 minutes in a day. The Bible also speaks of, and I'm not a huge Bible fan, I believe there's a lot more astronomy in there that people want to believe, but it speaks of 144,000 people on the Mount when it speaks of the end times, or something like that. That's a general idea. Don't correct me. I don't care if I'm wrong on that particular subject. I'm in the ballpark, and I think you guys are wrong. So, and it's also the number of days in a Baktun, which the Mayan calendar used to count long periods of time, 144,000 days. Okay, 72 times 2, 144. Okay, get this. Let's do it one more time, and it takes us up to a magical number 216, which is inscribed in a lot of pyramids around the world. Okay? Now, the Christians are going to freak out here because this is what the number 666 represents. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. It's in code, so not everybody figures it out. Okay, but 72, 144, 216. Now, the interesting thing about this shift in time we had to where the gods could apparently breed here is apparently they had to sync our planet up with Venus. Okay, get this. Okay, for every picture the solar system, right? Very simple. Sun in the middle. Venus is the second planet going around. Earth is the third. Obviously, different distances from the sun. Okay. Now, for every 8 trips Earth takes around the sun, Venus has exactly 13. Exactly. If you look at those planets as they're rotating, individually, at the closest point they are together, if you take that point and trace it over that period of 8 Earth years, you get a perfect pentagon or 5-pointed star. I mean, what are the odds? And of course, that pentagon is comprised of 5 72-degree angles. The universe is by design. There is no doubt about it. Hey, fellow space chickens. This is Alien Photog, and this recording I'm making today, I believe, is special. And in special, I mean rare. I've had a major abduction 3 days ago now, a little bit less than 72 hours ago. And I've been through this before, and I was actually implanted during that abduction. I asked for it, actually. The state that I certainly am in right after, I say a major abduction, but it makes it sound so bad. It's a good thing. The few days after are just interesting. I experienced several different states of mind. There's been times when all of a sudden I'm drawing a depiction of the fourth dimension. There's been times when, what else has happened? Mathematically proving that 2012 is accurate, seeing that there's a correlation in geometric shapes and numbers throughout our solar system, proving that it's by design. A lot of times I get what I have today, and I would say it's an ability to see things in the universe with an absolute sense of clarity and peace and comfort. An ability to access information that there's really no good explanation for how I know it. They got it in my brain somehow. Well, I've learned this state is temporary, so that's why I'm making this recording today. During this last encounter, which was, like I said, a little bit less than 72 hours ago now, I had the pleasure of being visited by a very supreme being who took the time from what she was doing to come be with me for a while. Because she knew I was having a tough time. And she sat and talked to me, and when I speak to them, the way that you speak with these beings is telepathically. But I spoke with her, and she's like a grandmother, a very sweet grandmother who's accepting of exactly who you are and what you do with your life. Not judgmental of anything whatsoever. Just really cares about you. Wants to make you feel good and secure and comfortable. I spoke with her for probably about an hour. I have a name for her, which I really don't want to divulge, and she told me that she really doesn't have a name. She's a little bit over 700 years old, very tall, over 7 feet tall, and of the gray species. But what people don't understand about the female grays, they're all very tall. The males are usually less than 6 foot, but the females are at least 6'4" on the low end, and on the high end, this is of course at maturity. I don't know what age they reach maturity. I guess probably about the same age we do. On the tall side, she's one of the tallest ones out there. They can get up to 7'6" tall, and I'd say she's probably 7'4". But she's beautiful, and that's the thing that people, they think this weird-looking alien, and the males look very much like the stereotypical quote-unquote alien that people think when they think of grays. But the females are beautiful. They're angels. They have rosy cheeks and this pointy, delicate chin, just very delicate features. Of course, the big eyes and very tall. Just the sense of them is an incredible feeling to be around. So she talked to me for a while, and I went to another location, and there's these extra bright stars in the sky that aren't stars. And if you look at them really close, and this is a really cool thing to do, and I really encourage anybody to do this if they're interested in beginning to make contact, because it was the first contact I made. But if you look at these really bright stars and direct your telepathic thought towards those stars and ask them to start moving around for you, you really gotta want to see it. You know, don't hesitate to beg for it. You'll see these stars to begin to move left to right, up and down, side to side in circles. Some of them have different capabilities. Some of them will flash different colors. It's quite the thing to see at first. It's very subtle, but if you're really watching them close, and it makes you sort of rub your eyes because it's hard to see for some reason, but it's a beautiful sight. So I'd encourage anybody to spend some time doing that, usually wherever you're at. Even if you're in a city, you can see some of these very bright stars. And they're big ships is what they are. They want people to see them. Don't expect it to go shooting across the sky, because they're at that position for a reason. They need to stay there, or else it'll cause a danger to them. You can communicate with them by asking yes or no sorts of questions, and say for yes, move up and down, for no, move left to right. And they'll communicate with you that way. And what I really wanted is a ship to come really close to me. I know I've been taken more times than I can count, and I don't know the dynamics of how it happens. When you get into extra dimensions, we tend to see things as a ship actually has to come, or a being has to come literally pick you up and take you away up into the ship, up somewhere else. And it doesn't quite work that way. I don't understand fully how it works. They also have an ability to... I don't know if it's dimensional or how they do it. I don't understand how they do it. They have some way of slipping to a different time level, so they can spend 4 hours with you and then bring you back a millisecond later in the blink of an eye, so no one will realize you left, even you, and they'll erase the memory. So, and they brought ships up to a ridge that's near me, which was pretty close. It wasn't as close as I wanted, but I also understand that they can't put themselves in direct danger. And at this point in time here, coming close can put yourself in direct danger if you don't have the proper other ships looking out for you. I mean, it has to be strategically done. I saw the ships on the ridge, and it's cool. Other things they'll use is shooting stars to communicate. And I know it's the the Geminoid meteor shower was going on at the time. It was the day after the peak. But what they do is they'll shoot a shooting star somehow in a specific direction. So like when these ships come out over the ridge, I mean, they came right after I asked for something to come close. I'm asking it telepathically, is this them? And a shooting star goes directly towards them. I mean, it looks like it's going to hit it. It's kind of funny, like, well, that's a hit and a half, you know, what are the odds? And it's happened to me so many times, I know it works, that it's authentic. So they brought ships up to the ridge, and I was a little disappointed. I started driving home and just started begging them, you know, please, I want to see another one. I really wanted to see another one. I actually have a video of it I'll show right now. This is what it was. I took a video of it after it went by. They somehow have a way of occupying bodies of animals or using the vision of animals. And this time I particularly selected what the animal would be, and they told me exactly where to go. And it was a deer. They've used deer with me several times. And I have a lot of pictures of the deer, and they just stood there while I took pictures of them at night. The pictures came out good, and some of these you'll see were up on a ridge, just a little bit above me, right above the road. I mean, it was I was just driving along exactly where they said to go, and all of a sudden a deer runs out in front of me. And I knew it would happen. It's happened several times. I've had them tell me several times, wait for the deer. And when you do talk to the deer, and there I am telepathically talking to what looks like a deer to everybody else, but I know it's not. And I'll have conversations with them, and they'll share wisdom with me. One time, one told me basically it had a hurt leg, and I noticed it had to live outside. It was cold that night, and it was sort of an appreciate what you have moment. And the beings above promised to heal it for me, which was cool. But anyway, so I ran across these deer, and I'm showing pictures of them right now. And as you can see in the eyes, well, they're green. And sure, the reflection, the flash, blah, blah, blah. I know everybody's got an answer for it, and I don't really care. So I asked for them to pay me a visit, and there's more to this particular visit than I'm telling right now, but they did, just like I asked them to. And I stood there and watched them, and at that point they told me to start moving along, so I did. Oh yeah, and while they're standing up on the ridge, shooting stars are going down directly towards the deer to point to indicate, yes, this is what you're seeing. So I went down the road a little bit further, and then they told me they were taking me, but this time they were going to let my mind be conscious in the moment, but I wouldn't see I was going with them. But to me, I was just staying there in my car driving down the road. And I asked them for something that would help me out and to look over my body because I sensed something wasn't right. So they did, and so I continued driving down the road, and they told me that they were going to take me and let me be somewhat conscious during this one, which I was very happy about. They tried to come see me in person one time, and I ran away because it was scary to me at the time. Still, I wasn't expecting it, but and I always tell them, just don't jump out of nowhere and scare me, because I don't want to be scared. But our nature is to be, for whatever reason, or a little jumpy about it. Probably just because it's new. And they've told me actually that they actually still encounter species sometimes. It's something they deal with where they run into things that they're scared of. They just the sight of it kind of startles you. I'm driving down the road and they say they've taken me and all that. And in a quick moment, I ask for help and tell them I think there's something wrong with my body and I need some help with a few things that I'll keep personal. So they said, hang on 1 second. They checked it out apparently and said, all right, hold still. And just told me to keep being calm and hold still, and so I did. And they just kept reminding me to stay calm, and then I felt a real strong pressure at a particular part of my body. I don't want to say where the implant is, it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do, so I'm not going to. And they asked me if I hurt, and I said I can feel pressure, yeah. At that point they were real kind about it, does it hurt too much? Are you okay? We want to make sure you're all right. And I reassured him, like, no, guys, I'm completely fine. I'm calm. There's no problem at all. I was sending a message to my heart to just have a nice, steady, resting pulse. And I said, I'm totally fine. Thanks for asking, though. They said, okay, well, we're almost done. And then the pressure went away, and they gave me some instructions on what to do with it, sort of what the recovery time would be, which they said would be 2 days. I'd be feeling pretty lousy because the body tries to reject anything new that's in it. Even their technology hasn't overcome that. It's just something the body does. And then on the third day, which would be today, I'd be feeling good, and I am feeling good today. I'm feeling great today. And then after that, the implant will start really taking effect and will help me out a lot. But so they told me it was over. I'd say the whole thing lasts 3 to 4 minutes tops. I saw something look like it flew away, sort of. But I don't know if that was a ship or something else. It was the state I was in, almost an entire zombie-like state is what I'd say. I mean, I've been sedated, just like a zombie pretty much. But I found my way home. I think they have a way of putting the body on autopilot so the car doesn't crash or run into anything. And I don't really remember driving home too well. I mean, I kind of like the whole thing. It's sort of all a little cloudy. But I get home, walk through the door, and my wife's worried about me because I've been gone for 4 or 5 hours apparently. Kind of started telling her what happened a little bit, and she was supposed to massage the general area where it was done. And so she did, and I went to sleep. And the next morning I woke up, and God, I felt awful. I was vomiting, and it's just my body's normal response to a foreign body being inside it. It's just trying to reject it however it was. But I felt lousy the whole first day, just low-level nausea all day, vomited several times. In the evening, God, I was violently vomiting. It was really bad in the evening. I got to the point where I think it was on the next day where I was trying to throw and I couldn't. It just killed me. So that was really miserable for a while there. But they told me that would happen, and each time as I did it, during both those days, they told me, just don't overexert yourself. They kept reminding me, as though you've just had a surgery. You don't feel like you have, and you aren't acting like you have because you don't recall going to a hospital or anything. But the same, act like you just had a minor surgery. So I did. I rested, like they said, relaxed, and in day 3 now I'm feeling great. Haven't had nausea all day, just like they said it would. So the second day my wife was massaging it, and she found the incision and then the actual implant as well. Actually, I found it the day after, just feeling the area where I knew it was, and there it was. And it's not the first time I've been implanted. It's kind of near the surface of the skin now, and last time muscles grew around it to sort of hold it in place, or protect it, I guess. So I'm assuming that'll happen with this one too. It's actually a very close place to where my last implant was that I got this summer. But my wife could feel it, and she believes all this stuff at this point. She's been around me long enough to know it's all genuine and true. And I mean, you spend enough time with me, you can't question it anymore. But yeah, we're both able to feel it. It's the size of a pea, I'd probably say, no bigger. The incision, it's like there's a bump there too. It's like they have something they put underneath the skin to keep it from opening or bleeding. But it works great, better than stitches, and it's a very, very small incision, very small. Maybe I haven't seen it. My wife found that little bump under it and saw the incision on top. And that's the gist of it. I really don't want to go into what it's for. Some elements of this I want to keep private, and I feel I have the right to do that. I know I do, so I'm going to. But I just wanted to let you guys know what the experience was like and all that. And this one I'm really happy I have. It was the first one I've gotten really understanding what happens, and it left me really aware, which was nice. So that was it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like a little procedure at the hospital you go to. It was quicker, it hurt much less. The vomiting was bad, but I've had that happen before. It's just my body's normal response, and can't really get past that. Trying to reassure my body that it's something there that helps out. I did that last time, and that kind of helped out. I had a lot of pain in my joints last time. I didn't get that this time. Not yet. But I didn't get the vomiting last time like I did this time. So, that's what it's like to be implanted by aliens, everybody. At this point for me, it's not really scary. I guess it's not really scary. I mean, it's normal. And I'm thrilled to have it. This one should really help me out, apparently. So that's good. That's really good. I'm very, very grateful for it. Very grateful.